YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back on Total War Rome 2, and just before we jump in, just really quick want to take care of this. Some of you all maybe some of you agree with me, maybe some of you think I'm overreacting about not patching up Attila or the multiplayer on it or something. So when I joined Attila a minute ago and just went to the multiplayer battle list, there were 5 battles available and several of them were locked with passwords. I have a mod on, so all these are going to show up like I can't join them, and that's the Rome 1 music. Look at all the games on Rome 2 right now. This game is getting close to 2 years old, maybe a little more. Yeah, getting close to 2 years old, and it's got probably, what is that, 5-6 times the number of games that Attila has right now, as far as that going on. My point made for you there, and I'm not even going to say anything else about it. So let's jump in. I got a fun battle for you. I ended up in a 2v2 where I have a Roman teammate. I'm playing as the Seleucids, and we're up against Egypt and Baktria, so it's kind of like a successor state brawl here, except for Rome. They're like the oddball out. And the Seleucids are pretty underwhelming as far as infantry goes. They've got okay-ish melee cav here with these Median cav. They are only medium, which kind of sucks. If they were heavy, they'd be really good. But otherwise, they're still pretty good. And then I've got 2 horse skirmishers just in case the Bactrian brought elephants. That was my tool. And then on this flank, I have 2 Thurio spears to handle any elephants. And then up the center, I've got 6 thorax swords. And then really, I expect a lot of work from these eastern slingers. Sometimes it's tempting to go with eastern archers, but eastern slingers are a little more survivable. And I think that over the course of all the ammunition they have, which is a little more than archers, they can dish out a little more damage. They're also pretty handy, so I really think that unless you're trying to kill elephants, the slingers are pretty handy. Now my Roman teammate went with kind of an interesting army here. He's got an auxiliary African elephant, 3 Soci Equites, Legatus, and then in his center he's got, let's see what we got here. So Triari, Praetorians, 2 Evocati, 3 Vigiles in the center, which is a very odd center. Looks like 3 more Evocati and a Triari. And he's up against Egypt, and in my opinion, Rome versus Egypt ought to be a pretty easy match. Egypt is awful. Their cav is horrible. The only thing they got going for them is scythe chariots and elephants. They don't really have very good skirmishers other than Rhodian slingers, which he has some, but they're very expensive. They are good, just very expensive. Their sword line is... The only way you can really gain an upper hand versus Rome is if you're using Galatian Royal Guard, and those guys are pretty expensive. And let's see what he's got here. So he's got 4 thorax swords, and then he's got 8 Thurio spears and Levi Thurio spears and kind of some Egyptian infantry just all mixed in there. Let's see. So we got 4 citizen cav, and there's his scythe chariot. He did, of course, bring the chariot, which is not a bad choice against Rome. But he's going to have to do well to make use of it. Let's see what happens. So my Bactrian opponent has got 3 citizen cav here, 3 Bactrian horse archers. And then in the center, he's got 4 thorax pikes and 4 thorax swords, a Bactrian Royal Guard general, which is kind of like a hoplite, backed up by a Bactrian hillman. And that's his army. So, yep, that's the 2v2 square off here. Honestly, I was thinking, my opponent will have an easy time. I mean, all these spear infantry for Egypt, I mean, his sword infantry, especially Evocati, ought to cut through them in moments. And then if I were him, I'd just keep my elephants back for late game. Like, just literally not even engage them. Like, just keep them maybe even on the other side of the battlefield. Because I don't think the Egyptian has what it's going to take to get rid of the Roman, to be honest. We'll see. The Roman army is not very good, but even not being very good, it should, like I said, easily be able to handle the Egyptians. I'm moving up in concert with my teammate, though. You can see me trying to hold one long line with them here. You can see that on the mini-map, too. I don't want to move ahead of him, allow myself to get overextended. So, yeah. What I want to do, though, is I want to move up. So my opponent has these pikes right behind his swordsman, which can sometimes be a viable tactic. It makes it hard to run away from their pikes. So what I'm going to do is wheel up in range and start shooting my slingers at his pikemen, and then keeping 2 slingers to keep his horse archers at bay. This is going to force my opponent to attack, and attacking with pikes is utter folly. Pikes are horrible on the offensive, and my opponent doesn't really have any offensive power here. His thorax swords are on par with mine, and his pikes have 0 offensive power. So, and his cavalry, he doesn't have any striking cavalry. So my big problem with my opponent's army here is that the only killing power he's got is in these Bactrian horse archers, and they're going to be limited on ammo. So what I do here is go ahead and push a citizen cav back, I keep one Median Cav to guard my slingers, and I'm going to move my horse skirmishers over here just to chase his horse archers off station while we have a fight here. So I'm going to get lots of good javelins off on some of his units here. I've got my Thurio spears off of fire at will at the moment, but his thorax pikes take a beating. I'm going to pull back my center and then actually engage him over here where his swords are at. So this is why pikes are horrible at offense. And then you can see here, chasing off his horse archers, they're wasting ammo on horse skirmishers, so I'm perfectly good with this. I'm going to try and rear charge into here. My Median Cav, though, is now going to get outflanked by Bactrian Hillmen, and those javelins from the Hillmen are going to be a big deal, actually. I was thinking that his crappy Citizen Cav would just rout with this rear charge, but it's not happening quite the way I'd foreseen that. I'm going to keep this swordsman from joining the fight, though, by bringing in a Median Cav to charge it. Not going to get the best charge, but it won't be bad. It'll disrupt them. And then in the mainline engagement, I'm just kind of keeping the my opponent's swords at bay, pulling back and just kind of playing cat and mouse with his thorax pikes, and this is going to force him to engage. And as I engage, I really don't get any good charges with my thorax swords, but his thorax swords have a crappy charge as it is, so there's a little gap in my lines here. It's a bit of a mistake. Yeah, I'm kind of keeping infantry away over here in reserve. I've got his horse archers way off back where they're not going to be useful, but over here I kind of blunder this fight. I rout some of his Bactrian light horse, but I get one of my citizen cav routed here by his infantry. But here I am actually destroying this thorax swordsman with my slingers and my cav, so that's been worthwhile. And I've got this Bactrian horse here, or this Median cav still just basically waiting. So my slingers have almost gotten rid of one of these thorax pikes. His general comes to engage me here. Bactrian Royal Guard actually has a really nice charge on it, but I don't think he got a good charge, which is unfortunate for him. And I end up putting my guys into a shield wall here in a moment to just really hold off for a long time. And then again, he's going to bring up pikes, and he's kind of just chasing here. He's going to run past my infantry again and take another volley of javelins, which he already did. So his thorax pikes have eaten a lot of javelins from my swords, and also from my Thurio spears. So they're going to push through, but they have no prayer of catching my slingers, so I'm not really sure what the point of this is. He's just going to either get shot in the back if he tries to outflank my swordsman, or get shot in the back again if he tries to engage these troops over here, or possibly charged in the back. So I'm holding my Hellenic Cataphract for late game, because the Hellenic Cataphracts are not fantastic. They're pretty expensive, but you can certainly get your money's worth out of them if you can get them to late game and not have enemy cavalry to deal with. So I use them kind of like elephants or chariots. I hold them to late game when my opponent's tools to stop them have been removed. Although I'm not on a good start to that right now because my opponent still has horse archers and a couple of citizen cav. I'm going to get to bring this Median cav back. But yeah, I've just got this one Median cav here, and I think I'm going to go ahead and engage. I can't remember what I do here. Yeah, my opponent engages me, whether or not I was engaging. Oh yeah, I bring my Hellenic Cataphract over, looking for a slot to get it through over here. My opponent's horse archers actually should be keeping an eye on my Hellenic Cataphract, switch to heavy shot and take it down, but he's not. And then back here, my slingers are kiting his thorax pikemen. And then over here, his thorax pikemen got outflanked, and then over here they're getting outflanked as well. So his thorax pikemen, like I said, I knew they didn't have any offensive capability. And then look, I saw a quick strike opportunity here with my Cataphracts. Knocked out 20 thorax swords real quick for only one loss, and then I'm just going to pull away from those thorax swords, and then here's a juicy rear charge. So I used a trample charge here with battle rhythm, so I mean this is going to be a very painful charge for my Hellenic Cataphracts. I'm going to kill a huge number of enemy troops here, at least I should be. Yep. You can see that it jumped up from like 20 kills all the way to 60 on that charge. This is not Attila where you get 100 kills in a single momentary charge. And then I'm going to just ping-pong back while my stuff is still active and get another bonus on these thorax swords, which is pretty much going to take them out of the fight. So very quickly my Hellenic Cataphracts went from not even in the fight to 100 kills. So very, very nice use there. And then I've got my two regrouped Median cav back. So now the Bactrians' only cav is these horse archers. And they come over here and start firing into this infantry fight. And firing at Thurio spears is not a good target. He really needs to be targeting my general and getting my slingers off the field. These Bactrian horse archers actually have pretty decent attack stats. You can see they're 40 melee attack and 36 weapon damage. These guys are a huge threat to my skirmishers, which are relatively unprotected. He needs to be pushing this and kiting around with my cataphracts, and he's not, and it's a big mistake. So these thorax pikemen are about to get charged from behind by my Thurio spears. And, well, actually, no, maybe I decided to go back towards the horse archers. I can't remember. I've just got a couple of guys sitting in reserve here. why engage him? I don't have any reason to engage him at the moment. And then this Median Cav, I'm going to hit these Bactrian Hillmen to keep them from chasing my slingers. So ping-ponging Cav around in Rome 2 is a pretty effective way to get... Whoa, I guess I decided against that too. Oh yeah, it's because I saw his horse archers moving around like he should, so I'm going to bring this Cav unit over. It would certainly not be enough to stop all these horse archers, but even if it holds them up for a time, it's fine. And I'll just let my slingers kite these guys away, so you can see that these Bactrian Hillmen are going to get hammered. Eastern slingers have quite a bit of ammo and pretty nice damage. My cataphract's now up to 150 kills, got a nice rear charge. My infantry just routed, but these guys were still in a fixed position and got smashed. So these cataphracts are starting to pay for themselves. They've already gotten rid of about probably 2 or 3 units on the battlefield. They do cost 1,400 talents. Yeah, here I'm going to get another kind of... Well, that's actually going to end up being a really bad charge. Like I said, flank charges in Rome 2 and Attila can be really odd for some reason. They ought to be the most devastating, but the way the units collide, it actually makes them very lackluster. I'm going to get a few javelins in on his horse archers here. These guys have really good melee attack, and he should have used them for rear charges and getting rid of my skirmishers. My opponent's lack of good use to these horse archers is somewhat surprising at this point. He's got quite a few kills on him, but a lot of it's horse skirmishers and Thurio spears. Like he's not gotten any quality kills on those units just yet. Whereas, like, say, my cataphracts here have killed several sword units, gotten rid of a cav unit. Like, I mean, they've gotten some quality kills as well as numbers here. And I'm going to be able to just stay in this fight. Now, I do see his horse archers working his way around, but they're still on fire at will, and they're still firing at my Thurio spears. They finally get a few shots off on my Hellenic cataphracts, but not before I didn't break that unit, and I can now retreat. So, now my general will be very tired, but I've got second wind because I brought that general with the civilian. Look, the Roman player, we'll go back and watch the fight with the Roman player. I'll hit the replay again so that we can see what happened, but somehow the Roman player managed to lose here, which actually really surprised me. So yeah, but we'll go back. I'll hit the replay again, and we'll check out what happened to the Roman player, because I've been focusing on my side. There wasn't really any way for me to cover both. Here, his horse archers are going to charge in. They can destroy these Thurio spears, but I hope that I can get just a few kills here, and I just use second wind, and I'm going to try and run my cataphracts over here before his horse archers can escape. This makes him pull out, and while pulling out, he's more likely to take some losses. I don't know if he really ended up taking many, if any, losses there, but we were able to chase him out, and my slingers got a few pot shots. So I was certainly happy with that situation. And then now I can kind of let my general's abilities recharge. Back here, my slingers have been picking away at this swordsman, but honestly I probably should have just gone off fire at will and ignored them. And then just, because eventually I could bring my cataphract back here and just save the ammo, because the ammo will be worth more in late game. Let's see what from the Egyptian survived here. He's got 2 mercenary Rhodian slingers that still do have some ammo. And then he's got, let's see, 2 thorax swords that are in pretty rough shape. An Egyptian infantry that's about half strength, and then his royal peltist has 172 kills with 2 chevrons. It's walking around in shield wall. And then he's got a 7-man citizen cav unit there. So the horse archers are the biggest threat to me still in my mind, and they've still got ammo because they've still got their bows out here. So these horse archers have been firing a lot. I don't know how much ammo they have left, but I cannot let them near my Hellenic cataphracts. And to be honest, even their melee attack and stuff is a little bit dangerous to my Hellenic cataphracts. If they get blobbed in there and I don't get a good charge, they could potentially start picking apart my Hellenic cataphracts. Speaking of, here they go doing what they do best once again. They're going to smash this unbraced Roman sword unit there. Or not Roman, thorax sword unit is what I meant to say, the Bactrian one. So I'm now up to 270 kills with 52 men left on the Hellenic cataphracts. They have been extremely cost effective so far. And like I said, just using my slingers to keep the horse archers at a distance. And then now I just kind of need to fast forward. I'm going to rest my troops a little bit. Basically just get everything all set up for a final showdown with the Egyptian player up here. The horse archers are a concern for me. They're not my gravest concern. The royal peltist are still in sufficient numbers to kill my thorax swordsman. Maybe not if I outflank them, but in a headlong engagement they could definitely get the job done. And then plus he has 2 thorax swordsmen of his own, so I was considering a few things. He's putting units in front of his general, which is smart, because I'm pretty likely to just pound his general with a frontal charge for my cataphracts. So he's in shield wall and behind other units, which he should be. His Rhodian slingers have some ammo left, and they're going to fire into the flank of this Eastern slinger. That's fine. The Eastern slinger has barely any ammo left anyway. I'm just using them as a threat. I really don't have enough ammo to kill his horse archers, but it doesn't matter. As long as he thinks I do, then that's good enough. You can't see the amount of ammo in a unit in this like you can in Attila, so you have to kind of just use your best guess. Letting my Thorax Swordsman rest. This one here in the center is a little bit tired, so I am going to move them up and give them a break before we get into the combat. I'm keeping this damaged unit of Median Cav here. These horse archers could easily kill that Median Cav. So all of a sudden I'm going to push the attack. So I'm going to engage his Thorax Swords in the center. His general did not appear to have javelins, which is good for me. Though I did take a couple of losses to the Rhodian slingers, but his citizen Cav's going to insta-die. And then I see his horse archers back here, and I'm going to just charge straight into his horse archers. And I'm going to get a really good charge here. It's going to murder this front unit. The back unit, though, is going to be a little trickier because it's still got good melee stats, and I didn't get a charge on it, but the front unit's just going to wither away. And then my Median Cav actually gets in here and causes pretty good damage to the other one as well. And then my slingers are going to focus fire on his Royal Peltist. Unfortunately, I'm shooting into his shielded flank, but Royal Peltist doesn't have the best block chance for an elite infantry, and I am getting kills. My opponent needs to be engaging already, and he's not. And then I've gotten rid of one horse archer back here. This one is dropping rapidly, but he is getting some kills on my general. If my general were to die here, it would be very, very bad. He finally engages his Royal Peltist into the back of my men, so great move for him. And it's going to hurt the morale of my men. And now he decides to go after my slingers now that he has utterly too few men, so I'm going to stand and fight. And then my general pounds in a rear charge here at the last second and just routs the Egyptian infantry, which the Bactrian army routes from army losses now as well. And now I'm going to be able to swing my Hellenic Cataphract around and finish off the Royal Peltist, so we'll kind of watch that. You can see my Cataphracts are heavy and tired here, trying to disengage from the fight. And we're going to, like I said, swing around. There it is. We're going to swing around into the back of the Royal Peltist, which is a very cool unit. Really like the Royal Peltist. It's too bad that it really doesn't get much love. I mean, like I said, I like the fact that Roman infantry is really strong in this game. You would expect that from Rome. You'd expect them to be a heavy infantry faction. I still just absolutely hate the stats and cost of the Evocati cohort and the veteran legionaries. Absolutely hate it. And the reason I do is because you take a unit like Royal Peltist that will just get absolutely like wrecked almost by a Bowiai, what do you call those guys? And I can't remember, sword follower or something, that are like half the price. And same thing with the Roman units. Your Royal Peltist will get all wrecked up trying to take down Roman units. It's just unfortunate. It's kind of annoying. Now, they're not bad units. They're strong. You can see this one got a lot of kills. And I don't know how he managed to do that against that many Evocati cohort. He must have gotten into some Vigiles or something, I would assume. We'll go check it out here in just a second and see what happened. 173 kills on his chariots. Not great. Depends on what they killed. If they, like my opponent had a Praetorian, or my teammate had a Praetorian, if that's what they killed, then it was worth it in that one unit alone. But if you look at my kills here, my Hellenic Cataphract was the MVP here, obviously, but my Eastern Slingers pulling some very important work here. They got a lot of kills, and a lot of those were infantry kills. I didn't do so great with my Median Cav, and only a couple of my infantry did pretty respectable, and the others got beat up just because of odd positioning. If we look, though, the Bactrian player, he got a lot of kills on these 3 horse archers. Not bad. I think the problem was they weren't the kind of quality kills that he needed. Thurio spears, horse skirmishers, stuff that's just not going to play out. Now, somehow he managed to get 100 kills with that Thorax pikeman. Maybe that was the one that was fighting my Thurio spears for a long time. But yeah, his swordsman did not do well because my Cataphracts got a hold of him. Anyway, let's go back and reload that and watch the Roman and Egyptian fight. I'll fast forward to it just so that we can catch the other side of the battlefield, because I'm sure there's some of you who wanted to see that. Because I really expected the Roman to have an easy time, even with his army that he'd chosen there, which wasn't my favorite. We'll go ahead and hit fast forward. Let's let all the troops get into position. We walked forward pretty slow, which is a good idea. I mean, it's a hot map. You don't want your guys to get exhausted. Only certain units have resistance to the heat fatigue. So there's no need to rush your army up in these cases, unless you had a rush army. But bringing a rush army without heat fatigue on a hot map is definitely not a good idea. So yeah, we'll just keep fast forward and let this fight wheel up. Looks like he's going to put his Rhodians forward. You can see the Romans clicking attack orders with his infantry. Yeah, he's got attack orders lined up on all the spearmen, and I would assume he's going to wrap up those spearmen pretty hard. It's his center that's really weak, and he's sending his weak center against the strongest part of the Egyptian army, which is their center. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, and even still, though, I mean, it seems like he should be able to pull that off. He's got 3 Soki Equites, which should be plenty to handle any citizen cav. If I were him, yeah, I mean, so the Egyptian put all his cav on one flank. Got 4 citizen cav and his side chariots. So yeah, I'd just keep the elephants back here with my cav, and just let my infantry grind this one out. I don't see how in the world... I mean, especially the Rhodians are wasting ammo on Vigiles. That is a terrible waste of ammo. They should be firing at Evocati. So let's just see what happens here if the Romans going to engage. These levy Thurios and Egyptian infantry, again, I'm not even sure how... they have javelins, which is great, but throwing them into the front of the Roman units, I wouldn't see that being particularly deadly. I mean, look, these Triarii aren't taking any losses at all. Into the back of a unit like that could be very deadly. So let's just see what happens. Where are the Praetorians at? Right here. So let's keep an eye on them, because they get hardly any kills, and they're headed right into Thurios spears right now, which means they should get a lot of kills. Okay, this engagement... He would actually do... He didn't get charges, so that's kind of a problem. None of the Soki Equites got good charges. He definitely should bring the elephants, like swing the elephants around and knock out this Egyptian cavalry. Or intercept the side chariots with the elephants. Yep. He needs to intercept the side chariots. So the side chariots here are going to... They're not even going to get a great charge. Okay, he's got the elephants into the chariots. Looks like oh yeah, here's his mistake. That's a huge mistake. He's turned his back to all these Levi Thurios spears. So his Praetorians, and they just got hit by chariots. Wow, that's a big mistake. And I'm not saying this to be mean to the Roman player, just is. But look, all that friendly fire into the chariots too. He's lucky to have not killed his own chariots. Wow, that Praetorian unit actually gets wrecked by Levi Thurios spears. And I don't know how these elephants haven't run amok already from all the spears around. Or all the javelins. He needs to get into all these Levi Thurios units as quickly as possible. Yeah, like that. Yep, too late. Elephants are gone. So they've run amok now, and they're going to start dropping like flies. Yeah, you've only got one chance with the elephants, and running towards Levi Thurios spears was about the worst decision he could make. That Royal Peltus was within striking distance, and he should have rammed it with the elephant. So the elephant's got a decent number of kills there, but I mean they're going to go down without accomplishing hardly anything. Yep. And this big blob here just allowed the Egyptian player to unload javelins. The Roman player let himself get outflanked, so he's completely outflanked with this Evocati. Even still, it's getting a fair number of kills. He's going to outflank the Egyptian player now, though. So this grind out will go fairly well for the Roman player, just a matter of where those chariots are at. Here they are. Chariots are down to 5 out of 9. They've gotten most of the kills that they're going to get. They haven't routed yet, but I don't know where their flag unit's at. Roman general tries to stop them, but then just gets picked apart. Looks like the Roman general is going to get into the mercenary Rhodians, but that general's in trouble because there's Thurios spears on the way. Somewhere this chariot's got its flag. It must be right here. Yeah, one of them's stuck in there, but these 3 are still running around. And these Romans are in pretty big danger here. The Evocati just pitched some pilla out at that chariot. That was pretty clever. Side chariots actually just routed, but they are not shattered. I'm honestly surprised the Egyptian's still alive in this fight over here with all these Evocati. He's pretty lucky. Like over here, the Evocati are starting to really mop up all these units. So even though the Romans positioned his units poorly, that's what yeah, so see, Royal Peltus killing Triarii right there, so that's easy kills for Royal Peltus. Some of these Soki Equites are still alive here. What just happened there? That's like something funky looking. The Soki Equites are giving these crappy citizen cav the fight of their life. Chariots just came back. Royal Peltus general still in good strength. The Roman general's about to die, so that's not good. Most of the Roman units are disciplined, but you can see that their morale's already hurting a little from being outflanked and army losses, so they don't need this. The Roman player's just too blobbed up, though, against units that aren't that good. And then, like right here, getting a Evocati cohort rear charged by an Egyptian infantry, of all things. That's gotta hurt to watch Egyptian infantry actually get kills on an Evocati. One would think that such a thing is impossible. Come the chariots, still wavering. I actually think the Egyptian... Yeah, He's really rushing in to use these chariots, which I kind of understand, because he needs them, but at the same time, like, he needs to be careful with them. All these avocati here. Yep, and they're going to get hit by the chariots, so the chariots are going to get a bunch more kills. But they're bogged down and shattered now, so never mind. They're gone. The avocati managed to yank them down. While routing, though, they'll potentially get more kills unless they get yanked down here. Yep, that one got torn down, so it's done. That one got torn down too. Okay, so no more kills for the chariot, because they can still get kills. And this is going to allow the Royal Peltas to come here. And look, these guys are just going to be sitting here throwing javelins. This is exactly what the Royal Peltas should do against the avocati. Don't get in there into the melee until you've used up your ammo, because the Roman units are way too cost effective versus like a Royal Peltas, so you definitely want to get in there and use all your ammo. They're going to get a clean charge here. And they've got really nice attack. Their armor and stuff isn't quite as good as the avocati, but with that rear charge there, it's going to do the trick. So now it all kind of makes sense how the Roman player died. I definitely feel like he had the tools to easily win this fight against Egypt, even with the side chariots on the field. Easily win the fight with Egypt. Should have kept the elephants for late game as well. It's always good to keep tools like that around for when your opponent may not be as ready to counter them as they will be at the beginning of the battle. Let's see, so the Soki Equites here trying to get through to rear charge this blob, but they're taking a lot of losses, and it won't be enough to break the thorax swords over here. May get rid of that. No, that citizen cav's the one I think that survives till the end. So I did a little bit of damage, but the Soki Equites, again, maybe should have pulled out of that fight and just gotten away to try and wait for a better moment. But it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know though, these avocati can grind out quite a lot of pain. So again, maybe if that Soki Equite would have finished off the slinger, well, it was trying to get away from those, so maybe not. But if it could get back in here and still have had some of its men left, that's going to hurt. So this is where Egyptian infantry can pay for themselves. 200 talents, throwing javelins into a unit like that. Yeah, it's... Anyway, got more avocati routing. Not every day you're going to see Egyptian troops succeed over avocati like this, so they might want to savor that moment. So that's what happened on the Roman-Egyptian side. Hope you all enjoyed it. That's going to be the end for that battle, and you saw the stats after I got into the last one, so there you got to see both sides of the battle. That was an enjoyable one to me. I really still like the multiplayer on Rome 2. I definitely at this point still recommend it over the Attila multiplayer if you're out there looking for good multiplayer. And yeah, it's definitely still the right pick. And someone asked me a question, is Attila worth full price right now? It depends. If you're asking me whether it's worth full price to play the campaigns, probably so, in my opinion. But I mean, the thing is, there is always Steam sales, and you can always get it for cheap if you're worried about it. From the multiplayer standpoint, it's not worth anything, in my opinion. It's worth absolutely zero in that stand. I wouldn't pay for the multiplayer in it right now. The campaign, though, again, I would say it's worth it. It's fun. It's got some. I like the Sassanids, the East Romans, West Romans is a great challenge. Kind of fun to play as the Huns and some of the other Horde factions. You got some of the Viking forefather factions. Lots of fun factions to play with. The Celts are kind of an interesting one to play with in campaign. So I think campaign-wise it's there. Just the multiplayer for me is rock bottom right now, just because they won't fix some of the things that are hurting the variety and all the other stuff, and it's just really frustrating, to be honest. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing off for now.